The moment that shook the room night was supposed to be perfect. Cameras flashed, soft music played in the background, and the red carpet glowed under the spotlight. Hollywood's brightest stars had gathered, dressed in their finest, with speeches ready and smiles fixed. Among them stood Ana de Armas, her dress a soft silver that shimmered with every step. But her heart was quiet. She was there because her team insisted. She didn't expect to win anything. She had come to support others. Keanu Reeves was also there. He stood a few rows behind her, hands tucked into the pockets of his dark coat, watching everything with calm eyes. He didn't speak much at these events. He never chased the spotlight. Instead, he noticed small things, like the way Ana's hand trembled slightly as the names were being announced, or the way she kept her head low when people whispered behind her back. The nominations for Best Humanitarian Performance were called out. This award wasn't for acting. It was for what the stars did behind the scenes, for kindness, support, and selfless acts that touched lives. Ana had quietly helped many over the past year. She had funded schools in poor villages. She had sat with sick children without posting about it. She had visited war-torn areas in silence, bringing hope without needing praise. But no one talked about those things. No one even nominated her. Instead, the winner was announced. The presenter smiled wide, and the humanitarian award goes to ... Victoria Hale. The crowd cheered. Victoria walked to the stage in a golden gown, full of grace and style. She smiled as the lights hit her. Her speech was perfect. She thanked her foundation, her sponsors, and mentioned her charity trip to Paris, though most knew it was also a photo shoot. Ana clapped politely, her eyes still. Keanu did not clap. He tilted his head slightly and kept watching. Something wasn't right. His jaw clenched. And then, something even worse happened. As Victoria walked back down the steps, she paused beside Ana. Odd. Her smile turned sharp. "No, Ana," she whispered, just loud enough for those near to hear. "Some of us have to work harder to be noticed." Ana blinked but said nothing. Her silence was her strength. It was also the reason people walked over her. Keanu heard the words. His eyes narrowed slightly. The moment passed. People moved on. But inside him, something had already changed. After the ceremony, everyone gathered in the grand ballroom. Lights sparkled above. Music played gently, but the room felt strange. Many whispered about Victoria. Few even looked at Ana. She stood quietly near a window, holding a glass of water, her reflection broken in the glass. Then something unexpected happened. An elderly stage manager walked up to Keanu. "He looked nervous, sir," he said, "I think." "A mistake." Keanu turned slowly. "What kind of mistake?" The man held out a paper. It was crumpled at the edges. Keanu took it and read it silently. The original voting sheet was attached. The real winner of the humanitarian award was listed. Not Victoria Hale. It was Ana de Armas. Keanu stared at it. Then he looked at the stage where Victoria stood posing with photographers. Something inside him tightened. The right thing had not been done, and the only one who could fix it was him. He didn't ask for permission. He didn't wait. He walked back toward the stage. People noticed. Whispers rose. Cameras turned. Victoria's smile faded as she saw him coming. "Keanu," she said with a laugh. "What are you doing?" He held up the paper. "I have something to say." The crowd went silent. The host stepped forward, looking confused. Keanu, is this part of the show?" Keanu's voice was calm. "No, it's part of the truth." He turned to face the crowd. "I'm sorry to interrupt," he said, holding the paper gently like it weighed 100 pounds. "But this award was given to the wrong person." The silence thickened. Keanu continued, his voice low but steady. "I didn't come here to cause trouble. I've seen what Ana has done. She never asked for attention. She never posted photos. She didn't make noise. But she showed up for people when no one else did. This award, the one meant to honor quiet kindness, was meant for her." Gasps echoed through the room. Victoria stepped forward, her voice tense. "Keanu, this isn't your place." He looked at her kindly but firmly. "No. Maybe it's Not, but someone had to say it. He turned to Anna, who stood frozen near the back, her eyes wide with shock. "Anna," he said softly, "you deserve to be seen." The paper slipped from his hand, fluttered to the ground, and the room began to clap. First one person, then two, then 100. Anna stood still, trembling. She had never asked for this moment, but here it was, honest and raw. Keanu stepped down and walked to her. "You okay?" he asked quietly. She nodded, her voice shaking. "That," he smiled gently, "because it was right." And in that moment, under the soft ballroom lights, something shifted, not just in the room, but in Anna's heart. She wasn't invisible anymore. Someone had seen her, not for her beauty or fame, but for her heart. And that changed everything. The weight of truth applause didn't stop for a long time. Even after the moment passed, the clapping echoed in Anna's ears. She stood there, still holding the empty glass of water, unsure what to do. Cameras were flashing now, not at Victoria, but at her. Lights she never wanted were suddenly on her face. Keanu stood beside her, his expression calm, eyes focused. He didn't raise his hands to wave, didn't try to take credit, just stayed close. Victoria had stepped aside, her smile now tight and sharp. Her publicist was already whispering in her ear, trying to spin the moment, trying to undo what had just happened. Anna finally found her voice. "Keanu, I don't know what to say." He looked at her and shrugged gently. "You don't have to say anything. They just needed to see what was always true." A few reporters came closer, holding microphones and cameras, hoping for a dramatic quote. Anna held her hand up, shaking her head. "No questions. Not tonight." She walked away slowly, out through the side door of the ballroom. Keanu followed, not because she asked, but because he knew she didn't want to be alone. Outside, the air was cool. Soft breeze moved the leaves along the pavement. The world outside the red carpet felt more real. Anna sat on the stone steps at the back of the venue, her silver dress crumpling under her. She didn't care. She was tired, not from the night, but from years of being quiet, years of doing the right thing without needing the world to clap for it. "I didn't want that award," she said softly. "I know," Keanu replied. "Then why did it hurt so much that they gave it to someone else?" He sat beside her, hands resting on his knees. "Because even if we don't ask for credit, it still hurts when people don't see us. We're human." Anna nodded, biting her lip. She had held so much in for so long. The kindness she gave, the love she shared, the help she offered, it had all come from a place of quiet strength. But that strength felt tired now. "I don't want to be a symbol," she whispered. "I just want to be... enough." Keanu looked at her with steady eyes. "You are, whether they see it or not. But sometimes someone has to say it out loud. For the world to stop and notice." Anna closed her eyes. "I don't like the attention. You don't need to like it," he said gently. "Just don't hide from it when it's truth." They sat there in silence for a while. Inside, the party continued. But outside, something more honest was happening. A moment without flashing lights, without fake smiles, without speeches. But the story wasn't over. The next morning, Anna's phone buzzed nonstop. Social media had exploded. People were posting clips of Keanu's speech. Hashtags were trending. News outlets were praising his honesty. But more than that, people were finally asking, who is Ana de Armas really? They weren't talking about her latest film. They were talking about the school she built in Guatemala, the shelter she secretly funded in a small Mexican town, the letters she had written to sick fans who never made it to see her smile. The truth was finally out, and not everyone was happy about it. Victoria's team released a statement saying the award had been confirmed by an internal review, claiming no mistake was made. They blamed a miscommunication, said Keanu was emotional and acted without full information. Anna scrolled through the news with a heavy heart. "They're trying to bury it," she said. Keanu was already waiting at her door, coffee in one hand, a file folder in the other. "They won't succeed," he said. He placed the folder on her kitchen table. Inside were documents, emails from award officials, screenshots from staff members, and even a quiet confession from the stage manager who had handed Keanu the voting sheet. Someone inside felt guilty, he said. They sent me this, Anna. Flipped through the pages slowly. It was all there. Proof. Do you want to go public with this? Keanu asked, his voice soft but serious. Because once you do, it'll get louder. Anna looked up at him. Her eyes weren't afraid anymore. They were tired, yes, but also clear. Yes, she said. Not for me. For the truth. And for the next girl who helps in silence and gets ignored. Keanu nodded. Then we'll do it right. The press conference was quiet. Anna didn't want a stage or cameras flashing in her face. She chose a small room, filled only with a few trusted journalists. She wore a simple white blouse and jeans. No makeup. No stylist. Keanu stood beside her, not as a star, but as a witness. She told the story gently, never blaming Victoria, never sounding bitter. She just told the truth. How it felt to be invisible. How it felt when someone finally saw her. How she wanted to make sure other people who give in silence are also seen. When she finished, the room was still. Then one journalist stood up. She looked older, her face lined with time. Miss Anna, she said softly, I've covered Hollywood for 30 years. This is the first time I've heard something that felt real. Anna's eyes filled with tears, not because she was sad, but because someone had hurt her. The press conference ended. But the story was only beginning. Across the city, Victoria watched the footage from her hotel room. She had everything: money, fame, beauty. But the one thing she now feared losing was her image. Her assistant spoke carefully. We might need to issue a new statement. Victoria's voice was cold. We need to fix this before she becomes their hero. But it was already too late. Anna wasn't trying to be a hero. That's exactly why people believed her. Later that evening, Anna and Keanu walked through a quiet park. The sun was setting, casting soft gold light across the trees. I don't know what happens next, she said. You don't need to, he replied. You just keep walking, and I'll walk with you. She smiled, tired but stronger. Thank you, she said. Keanu looked at her gently. I didn't do anything you wouldn't have done. No, she said softly. You did what I was too afraid to do. And in that moment, the truth no longer felt heavy. It felt like light. Her kindness, their silence at the next few days, changed everything for Anna. What was once a soft ripple became a wave. Thousands of people around the world started sharing her story, not because she won something, but because she didn't fight for herself, yet someone else did. That touched something deep inside others. Messages poured in. Strangers sent letters to her team. Young girls wrote from schools she had helped, saying they finally felt proud that someone like them could be strong. Actors reached out quietly, saying they too had felt invisible, even in rooms full of light. Anna didn't post much. She didn't need to. Her story was already breathing on its own. But behind the screens, something else was happening. People began looking closer at Victoria Hale. Journalists started asking where her charity money really went. They asked for details about her humanitarian trip to Paris. They questioned her foundation's spending and found more questions than answers. But Victoria wasn't the only one growing nervous. Inside the award committee, several names began distancing themselves from the original decision. Statements were released. Blame was passed like a cold coin. Anna didn't speak out against anyone. She remained silent. But Keanu wasn't silent. He sat down for an interview, not with a major network. Just a quiet podcast run by a young woman named Ellie, who had been homeless 5 years before and now used her show to highlight acts of quiet courage. Why did you do it? Ellie asked him, her voice soft. Keanu leaned forward. Because I've seen too many good people get ignored, especially when they don't play the game. What game? It's the one where you have to be loud, perfect, charming, all the time. Anna didn't play that game. She just helped people. And that should be enough. Do you think the industry is changing? Keanu smiled gently. I think it's waking up. Slowly. The clip went viral. Meanwhile, Anna visited a small community shelter just outside the city. She didn't take cameras. No one even knew she was there except the workers, who had once received a silent donation that saved their building from closing DAA. Little girl ran up to her and hugged her tightly. "Thank you for the blankets," she said, holding Anna's hand like it was a lifeline. Anna knelt and smiled. "How did you know it was me?" The girl pointed to a drawing on the wall. It showed a woman with long dark hair and a kind smile. "That's you. They told us you helped when no one else did." Anna touched the picture gently. Her throat felt tight. When she stepped outside, she found Keanu waiting near a tree. He had no phone, no bodyguard, no camera crew. Just a paper bag with warm tea and a soft look in his eyes. "You followed me again?" Anna asked, smiling slightly. "No," he said. "I just knew where you'd go." Back in Hollywood, Victoria's team was in crisis mode. Her foundation's books were being reviewed. A quiet investigation had started. And the sponsors, once eager to attach her name to their brand, were stepping away. But Victoria didn't blame herself. She blamed Anna. She played the victim. She snapped at her assistant. And Keanu played the hero. "This is ridiculous." "But she didn't do anything," the assistant said softly. "Exactly," Victoria hissed. "And now she's everywhere." She stared at her phone screen. Anna's photo filled the trending page, not in gowns, but in jeans and t-shirts, hugging children, visiting shelters, sitting beside forgotten people. People believed her because she didn't try to be famous. She just cared, and that scared Victoria more than anything. The awards committee finally called Anna. They offered a public apology and invited her to attend a special ceremony where they would officially give her the award. Anna thought about it quietly. Then she asked them one question. "Can I bring the children from the shelter?" There was a pause and a hesitant yes. The night of the second ceremony was different. No red carpet, no golden gowns. Just Anna dressed simply, walking hand in hand. With 3 little girls and a boy from the shelter, they looked around in awe, not used to fancy buildings and glowing lights. Keanu arrived quietly. He wore the same coat from the original night. Nothing flashy, nothing forced. Just a warm smile and steady steps. When Anna was called on stage, she didn't hold the award up. She knelt down and let one of the children hold it. "This belongs to every quiet voice," she said. "To every person who thought they had to be. Loud to matter, you don't." The room was still. Keanu stood in the back, clapping softly, his eyes glassy. That night, Anna walked out into the parking lot with her shoes in her hand. She was tired, but her heart felt light. "You know," she said, looking at Keanu, "I used to think that if I did things quietly, they'd never be seen." "They usually aren't," he replied, "but sometimes someone sees anyway." Nodded, then looked up at the stars. "Do you think it'll last?" she asked. "This moment?" "No," Keanu said honestly. "Moments never last, but what you did. The way you made people feel, that stays." Anna looked down at the children playing near the sidewalk, their laughter echoing into the night. She smiled. "That's enough," she whispered. Keanu nodded. "It always has been." Asterisk, asterisk, but not everyone was happy with the new truth. Victoria wasn't done. What she did next would test Anna in ways she'd never expected. The quiet attacked. Morning after the quiet ceremony, Anna woke to the sound of her phone buzzing non-stop. Not with praise this time, but with questions. Strange questions. Her publicist left 6 missed calls. Her email inbox was flooded. The headlines were cold and sharp. Was Anna really as selfless as she claims? Sources say she used donations for travel. Keanu Reeves fooled by soft-hearted actress? Anna sat up in bed, confused. She scrolled quickly. Dozens of gossip sites had published articles all at once. They claimed she wasn't as kind as people thought. They questioned the timing of her shelter visits. They said she had secretly hired a camera crew to follow her and pretend it was unplanned. One article even suggested her donations came from a shady source. None of it was true. Anna's heart pounded, not because she was afraid people would believe it, but because she knew who had started it. Victoria hailed the night before. Victoria had left the second ceremony early, saying she was sick. She wasn't. She was planning. She had called in every favor. Every old connection, every gossip blog that still owed her something. She had planted the lies, the photos, the twisted stories, the fake quotes, all carefully timed to discredit Anna, and it worked. At least, on the surface, Anna stood in her kitchen. Hands trembling, phone screen glowing, headlines flashing. Keanu arrived 20 minutes later. He walked in without knocking. Could see it on her face before she spoke. "You saw?" She whispered. He nodded. "I saw." She looked away. "I didn't want to fight. Didn't want this to be ugly." Keanu placed a gentle hand on the table. Truth doesn't always come quietly. Sometimes when it starts to shine, the ones hiding in the dark throw stones. Anna sat down slowly. "Should I say something?" Keanu leaned against the wall. "Not yet. Wait. Watch. Because the truth has legs. It can walk by itself. You just have to let it." For the next 2 days, Anna didn't post anything. She didn't defend herself. She didn't yell or cry online. She went quiet. But others did not. A young woman posted a video holding up a drawing Anna had sent her 3 years ago when she was in a hospital bed with no hope. She spoke with tears in her voice. "I never told anyone this," the girl said. "But she wrote me letters every week for 2 months. I still have them. She didn't ask for anything. She didn't even sign them as a celebrity. She didn't do it for the world. She did it for me." The video went viral. Then a man from Guatemala uploaded photos of a school built in the mountains. He showed the nameplate on the wall. Anna had never spoken of it. But there it was, her name, engraved with quiet respect. "She asked us not to share," he said, "but now I think it's time people knew." More stories followed. From shelter workers, from sick children, from women she had helped privately through abuse centers. No cameras, no headlines. Just truth, and one by one the lies began to fall apart. Victoria was furious. "Why isn't this working?" she snapped at her assistant. "Because she didn't build her story," the assistant whispered. "She lived it." "Then dig deeper," Victoria said. "Find something. Anything. There has to be a crack." But the only cracks they found were in Victoria's own story. A whistleblower from her foundation came forward, anonymous at first, but brave. They shared receipts, photos, emails, evidence of misuse of funds, of fake donation claims, photo ops staged for clout. The media turned fast. Anna watched it all happen from a distance. Keanu stayed close, bringing her food, coffee, and calm. Words when she needed them. They didn't celebrate. They didn't gloat. They just breathed. "You were right," she said one night. Keanu looked up. "About what?" "About truth. It walks." He smiled softly. "Sometimes it limps, but it still gets there." She chuckled. It's a first real laugh in days. But deep down, she still felt unsettled. Not because people believed her now, but because she never wanted to be in this position. A symbol, a face of truth, quiet courage. "What if I'm not strong enough to carry this?" she asked in a whisper. Keanu didn't answer right away. Then he said something that stayed with her forever. "You don't carry the truth, it carries you." A week later, Anna received a letter in the mail. No return address, simple handwriting. It read, "I was one of the people who spread the lie. I was paid to write about you. I'm sorry. Your silence made me question what I did. Thank you for not shouting. It made me hear louder than noise ever could." Anna folded the letter slowly. Her hands were still, her eyes wet. The final blow to Victoria came not from Anna, but from a woman Victoria had once insulted during a private charity dinner. The woman had remained quiet for years. But now she stepped forward. She told the press how Victoria had mocked poor communities in private, how she had bragged about buying awards and bending headlines. It wasn't just scandal now, it was truth. Victoria was asked to step down from her foundation. Her sponsors left. Her image cracked. Anna didn't say a word. And the world noticed that too. One evening, Anna stood on a hill just outside the city. Keanu parked beside her. The view was wide and open. Below them, the city lights blinked like quiet stars. "What now?" she asked him. He shrugged. "Whatever you want, you're free." She smiled gently. not just free scene. Tea. And that's enough? Anna looked at the lights. It's everything. They stood there in silence. Two souls who never chased the spotlight, but still found themselves glowing under it, not because of fame, but because of truth. The cost of being Realth City had grown quieter. It's not in noise, but in energy. For weeks, the headlines had screamed, stories had clashed, and names had been pulled into lights and shadows. But now something had settled. Ana de Armas was no longer a name whispered only in film circles. She had become something more, a symbol. Whether she wanted it or not, people now stopped her in grocery stores, not for autographs, but for quiet thanks. Elderly women touched her hand with soft eyes. Teenagers hugged her tightly, whispering that they had been seen because she was brave. But with all that love came a new kind of pressure. Anna sat at her desk one morning reading a letter from a woman in the Philippines who said Anna's story gave her the courage to report her abuser. The letter was powerful, raw, real, and it made Anna cry. But it also made her feel something she didn't know how to explain. Wait. She looked up as Keanu entered. Holding 2 coffees, his walk easy, his expression kind as always, he handed her one. You okay? Anna nodded, wiping her eyes. Yes. But also no? He waited. I just got a letter from a woman I'll never meet, she said. I gave her courage, but I didn't do anything. I just sat still while you spoke. Keanu took a quiet sip before replying. Sometimes sitting still is the loudest thing in the world? Anna shook her head. But now, people expect me to be strong all the time. To say the right thing. To be calm, good, graceful. I didn't ask for that. Keanu leaned back in the chair across from her. You didn't ask. But people needed it. And now they trust you. Not as a star, as a person. What if I break? Under it, then break? He said simply. And we'll build again. Together. Anna looked down at her hands. They didn't shake anymore. But her heart still did. I wish the world knew that being kind doesn't mean being ready. Keanu nodded slowly. They'll learn. Because of you. Meanwhile, Victoria Hale sat in silence in her glass apartment. The city lights reflected in the window, but she didn't look at them. Her foundation was gone. Her name was now followed by the word scandal in every search result. Brands had pulled back. Producers had paused contracts. Her assistant had left 2 weeks ago. She had thought the world would forget Anna quickly. She thought the shine would wear off, but it hadn't. Because Anna never tried to shine, and that was the difference. A few days later, Anna was invited to a high-profile talk show. They promised a respectful space. They said the host would ask thoughtful questions. Anna hesitated, but Keanu encouraged her. You don't have to perform, just speak. The studio was large. Cold. Lights too bright. The host smiled too wide. Welcome, Anna. Let's talk about your sudden rise as a moral voice in Hollywood. Anna blinked. I didn't rise. I just didn't move. The audience chuckled softly. The host leaned forward. Do you forgive Victoria Hale for what she did to you? Anna paused. Then she said something no one expected. I don't think she did it to me, she said gently. I think she did it to herself. The room went quiet. Anna continued, her voice soft. I don't hold anger, because anger keeps me from helping the next person. There's always someone hurting, someone waiting. The host was silent for a moment, then nodded. Thank you for your honesty. After the show, back in the dressing room, Keanu was waiting, as always, a small paper bag in hand. You brought snacks? Anna asked, smiling. Almond cookies? He said, for bravery. Anna laughed softly and sat beside him. You didn't have to come, she said. Keanu looked at her. Yes, I did. Later that week, Anna was invited to a private school in a small town. They asked her to speak, not to fans, but to students. Young ones, curious, quiet. Most had never met a movie star. She stood before them in a simple sweater. Hair pulled back, no makeup. She didn't talk about fame or awards or movies. She talked about kindness. Being kind is not a soft thing, she said. It's the hardest thing. It means giving when you have nothing left. It means being quiet. When you want to scream, it means choosing love when hate feels easier. A small boy raised his hand.
Oh.
But what if people don't clap? Anna smiled. Then you clap for yourself. And someday someone else will too. The children clapped, soft, sweet, loud enough to reach something deep inside her. That night, Anna and Keanu walked in silence through a quiet street. The air was cool. The stars were soft above them. What if I fail? She asked suddenly. Keanu looked up. You will? Anna blinked. He continued. You'll fail to say the right thing. You'll fail to hold up every person who looks at you, but you won't. Fail to care, and that's what makes you strong. She stopped walking. Do you think I'm strong? He turned to face her. I think you're the strongest person I've ever met. Her eyes filled with quiet tears, not from sadness, but from being understood. Thank you, she whispered. Keanu nodded, his voice low. Thank you for not giving up. They stood under the street lamp, two friends, two souls bound not by fame, but by truth. And somewhere in the distance, the world kept spinning. But for that moment, everything was still. When silence winced, sun rose gently on a day that felt strangely calm. There were no headlines screaming new scandals, no camera crews outside Anna's door, no invitations flooding her inbox. It was quiet, and in that quiet, Anna found something she hadn't felt in a long time, peace. She walked through her small garden barefoot, morning tea in her hand. The earth was soft. The flowers bloomed without noise, without applause. Keanu sat on the porch, sketching in a little notebook he never let anyone see. He looked up as Anna passed. How'd you sleep? He asked. Deep, she said, surprised at her own answer. Good. Your soul needed it. She sat beside him, eyes watching the clouds drift. I've been thinking, she said slowly. Everything that happened, it was never about the award. Not really, no, Keanu agreed. It was about being seen, not letting the truth breathe. Anna nodded, and letting it hurt a little too. Yes, he said. Truth always hurts before it heals. A few weeks passed. Stayed quiet. No new posts. No public appearances. Her name faded from the top of news sites. People had moved on, but Anna hadn't forgotten. She didn't hate her. In fact, one evening, Anna wrote a letter. She didn't post it. She just folded it and tucked it into the drawer of her desk in the letter. She wrote, I don't know what you were feeling that night. Maybe fear, maybe pride. Maybe something deeper that none of us saw. But I forgive you. Not because you asked, but because I don't want to carry this weight anymore. I hope you find peace. It's not the kind the world offers, but the kind that comes when you tell the truth to yourself. She never told Keanu she wrote it. Some things she believed are meant to stay sacred. One day, Anna received an invitation to speak at a global summit on humanitarian work. World leaders would be present. Celebrities, teachers, doctors. The letter asked her to be the opening voice. Not because of her films, but because of her truth. She was unsure. The stage was huge. The world was listening. She asked Keanu, should I go? He smiled. You already said yes in your heart. Now your feet just have to follow. Day of the summit, Anna wore a simple navy blue dress. She didn't prepare a long speech. When she stepped onto the stage, she felt her hands tremble. Not from fear, but from remembering how far she'd come. The lights weren't blinding this time. They were soft. She looked out at the audience and began to speak. I'm not here because I saved the world, she said. I'm here because I learned what it means to stay still while the world tries to move you. I'm here because someone stood beside me when I was invisible. And now, I want to stand beside others the same way. She told the story of the wrong award, of the quiet pain, of Keanu's voice breaking the silence, of the little girl who hugged her, of the woman who wrote to say she felt brave. She ended with this. Being kind isn't a weakness. Being quiet isn't shameful. The world is loud, but the things that last are the softest. A hand held, a word whispered, a truth told without the need to be loud. There was no roar of applause, just a stillness. Then one clap. Then two. Then a quiet wave of hands coming together, not in noise, but in respect. Anna stepped off the stage. Keanu met her at the bottom of the steps. "How do you feel?" he asked. "Light," she whispered. He smiled. "You look like it." Months passed. Anna returned to her life, but it wasn't the same. She visited more schools, helped rebuild small houses in places no one filmed. She wrote stories of people who would never be on TV but mattered. Just as much, she never chased the spotlight again, but somehow, it always found her, not because she asked for it, but because the world had finally learned to look beyond the noise. And Keanu stayed in her life. Not as a hero, not as a voice, but as a friend who walked beside her through silence, storms, and stillness. They didn't need to say much anymore. They had already said everything that mattered. One morning, Anna stood at her window watching the sunrise. It painted the sky in colors too soft to name. She held a cup of tea and thought of all the moments that had brought her here. A mistake, a whisper, a truth, a friend, a choice. She smiled. Not every story begins with fireworks. Some begin with silence. And sometimes, that's exactly what the world needs most.